evening. My name is Jeff Cesada. I'm one of the inspectors in the building department for the city of Dubuque. And I've coordinated this training tonight, or this education program tonight, along with the Dubuque Fire Department. This is an educational thing only. Most reported fires occur at night while you sleep. The fires that happen during the day are usually discovered, and a lot of times never get reported because they get taken care of before they get too big. But in the evening when you go to sleep, there's nothing to alert you other than your smoke detectors after the fire is going pretty well. So that's why most fires occur at night. Is the ones during the day generally get put out before they get too severe. Approximately 3,000 people die every year across the nation in fires. And that includes any type of fire. That's a car fire, wildland fires, any type of structure fire. About 80% of those, or about 2,400 of those people, die in residential home fires. Fires take approximately 3 minutes to reach the flashover stage. Flashover is when everything in the room gets to its ignition temperature and the entire room bursts into flames. So that's going to take about 3 minutes, and we will demonstrate that tonight. Home fire sprinklers are part of an overall system of safety. We're not telling you that this is the ultimate answer and this is going to solve all the problems. It's not. It's just another tool in the toolbox. Sprinkler systems have been around for over 100 years in commercial properties. Just in the last 10 to 15 years, the technology has caught up to start offering the sprinkler systems in residential homes. So what we're doing tonight is trying to educate the public and the contractors, show them the benefits of what a sprinkler system in a residential home could do for you and your family and also your property. Of course, like I said, this is just a tool in the toolbox, so you still need to have working smoke detectors. You need to change the batteries at least every 6 months or on a regular basis. Normally when the times change is a good time to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. And they need to be tested occasionally to make sure that they're still functioning. You could have a bad battery. You also need to have a family escape plan, and you need to practice that family escape plan. So along with those, you also need or could use a sprinkler system in your home to help get the family out of the house safely. Most home fires are preventable. The 4 main causes of fires in the home are unattended cooking. You start something on the stove or in the oven and forget about it or walk away from it, and it catches on fire and increases in size before you can get back to it. The second cause would be children playing with lighters or matches. The third cause is smoking. Either falling asleep with a cigarette in bed or on the couch or in a chair, or discarding the cigarette improperly. And the fourth cause is candles. Elderly, the young children, and anybody with disabilities are going to have more difficulty exiting a building that's on fire. So that's why the sprinkler system is of benefit, and you'll see how fast the sprinklers are going to react to the fire once we get to that point. And you ask, why are we trying to push this sprinkler system in today's homes? You know, the new homes are made so much safer. They are made safer, but one thing you have to think about is the homes nowadays have more open spaces. They're using engineered lumber to span longer distances, so you got wide open spaces. You don't have all the bearing walls in the middle of the rooms. And the engineered lumber that they're using burns a lot faster than conventional lumber. So it's going to fail faster. And also, if you remember the older furniture, it was all made out of natural wood, solid wood. All the furniture that we're having made today is made with pressed wood, with epoxy glues. Um, the upholstery is all made out of plastic. All your clothing is made out of plastic, or the majority of it. So everything burns a lot faster, a lot hotter, and it's more toxic. Sprinkler systems have been around for over 100 years, like I said. A standard system, like in a commercial building, will be made with metal pipes, and each sprinkler head will deliver approximately 40 gallons a minute if it were to get set off. The firefighters today, when they extinguish the one unit, they're going to be putting about 150 gallons per minute on the fire. When we get to the residential one with the sprinkler head, that sprinkler head is going to put out about 12 to 15 gallons per minute. So substantially less water usage in a residential system. It's not made with metal pipe, it's made with plastic piping. I've got some examples on the table, and we'll be around afterwards to answer any questions you may have, and you can look at some of the materials that we have for you. Sprinklers are the only thing that can detect and automatically control or extinguish a fire, paving the way for residents to make a safe escape. Obviously, smoke alarms still need to be there, so that's what we want to stress. This isn't taking the place of anything that we've done in the past. It's just another thing to make our homes safer and hopefully save more lives. Does anybody have any questions before we go to the demonstration? We will have time afterwards too to answer any questions.
Jeff, you want to just tell them how many sprinklers go off when there's a fire?
Yeah, there's a lot of false information going on. Obviously, everybody's seen the movies where they'll set off one head and the entire building starts spraying water. That's not the case. That's for movie purposes only. The only heads that are going to go off are the ones that the fire impinges on them and they reach their ignition temperature or their bursting temperature. In this case, the sprinkler head in here is set at 155 degrees. So it's not going to go off until that head gets to 155 degrees. And if there were more than one head in there, only the ones that reach the 155 degrees would open. So most fires are going to be extinguished with one sprinkler head. Any other questions? All right, we'll get on with our demonstration. I'm going to be running a stopwatch. Once we ignite this unit here. Get it lit? Okay. He lit the fire. The smoke alarm in the room is already going off. You can see the flames starting to impinge on the curtains. Okay, the temperature at the ceiling right now is probably about 200 degrees. We're about 1 minute into the fire. You can see the fire traveling across the top of the ceiling. The furniture started on fire already. You can see the smoke layer is down to the bottom of the plexiglass already. So if you were standing up in there right now, you'd take about one breath and you'd be down on the floor. Okay, now the temperature at the ceiling is probably about 700, 800 degrees. Notice how black the smoke is. That's all the hydrocarbons from all of the upholstery and all the plastic that all of our furniture and building materials are made out of. Okay, now this is flashover. Everything in the room has bursted into flames. This is less than 3 minutes into the fire. Go ahead. Now once this demonstration's open or over, we'll allow you can walk up past the front of these units and get a closer look at what the damage is. But you'll notice in that unit right there, even the carpeting is burnt up. So all the way down to the floor. Now we're just making sure that everything's out in here so that we can move on to the second demonstration. We don't want this to flare up again while we're doing the demonstration over here. So all of that destruction took 3 minutes from the time we lit it on fire to the point where they started putting water on it. Anybody think they could have survived that? These guys ready? They comfortable that this one's out? Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to this one. The exact same furniture, or close to as we could get to the same furniture. So we're going to light this one on fire, and you'll get to see the difference between a sprinklered and a non-sprinklered. Yep. Yep. Okay, he lit the fire. The smoke alarm's going off. Sprinkler head just tripped. Okay, the sprinkler head went off at about 35 seconds. Can you still hear the smoke alarm going off? We're going to have the firefighters come over and make sure that this one's out and let the smoke clear. If you want to yank that plexiglass off too. It's just Velcro down there. Just want to make sure it's out. You think you could have survived that one? Yep. Now these sprinkler systems are not designed to extinguish the fire. They're to give you enough time to get out of the building. Because of the furniture and stuff that's in there, the fire may be hidden enough that the water can't get to it. But it's going to keep that fire at bay until the firefighters get there and can extinguish that fire. So a residential sprinkler system is designed for safety. It's to get you out of the building. Can you guys take that smoke detector down? Just set it on the table. Okay, was there much difference for you guys? Can you see a difference between the two units? Do you think this is a benefit to have sprinklers in the home? Does anybody have any questions at this point? Yes. No, when the sprinkler head gets to 155 degrees, they'll keep flowing water until the fire department gets there to shut the water off. Oh, sure. Yeah, that question was, does the sprinkler just go off when the temperature goes down, or how does the water quit flowing? So the water's going to continue to flow until the fire department arrives and shuts the water supply off to the sprinkler system. Any other questions? Yes. The young man wants to know if the house is going to dry after it gets so wet. Obviously, we used a lot less water than we did in this one. Like I said, they flowed about 150 gallons a minute. They probably squirted water for at least a minute, if not longer. So 150 gallons went into that room. This one, this sprinkler head put out between 12 and 20 gallons per minute. It only flowed probably for 45 seconds. So somewhere around 15 or 20 gallons is all that flowed into that one. Obviously, it's going to flow a lot longer for the fire department to respond and get there and make sure that the fire is out before they shut the water off. But it would be a lot less costly to clean up that mess than it would be to try to clean this mess up. Any other questions? Yes? Correct. He wanted to know what the difference between the two as far as life lost. Obviously, if the smoke detectors woke these people up and they understood that there was a fire in the house and they were able to get everybody out of the house, there would only be property loss. But if they can't hear the smoke detectors, or the smoke detectors don't have fresh batteries in them, that smoke alarm may not go off, or the people may not hear them. This one over here, the same scenario, the same things can happen to that smoke detector, but what you have over here is a sprinkler system that knocked the fire down, and at least it allows you more time to get out when you do get woke up by the fire or the smoke alarms. Any other questions? Yes? Sure. He wants to know what the cost is for adding this to a home. The national average right now in 2008, when they did the study, they estimated it cost about $1.61 per square foot. So a 2,000 square foot home would cost about $3,500, somewhere in there, to install a sprinkler system in a single family home. The National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA as most people know it by, just came out last week with the study this year, and they're estimating the average cost is about $1.35 per square foot, which is about $2,500 for a 2,000 square foot home. And obviously, the further into this, the more technology that comes about, the cheaper the cost is going to be. But if you consider a 2,000 square foot home, for about the same cost as you could put granite countertops in your kitchen, you can install a sprinkler system in your home. Yes?
How far apart should the sprinklers be when you're putting them in a home?
Well, the system still has to be designed. So you have to have somebody that knows how to calculate flows and know what the water pressure is in your house. And that determines not only how many heads have to be there, but how far apart they need to be spaced. Typically, for a system like this, every room in your house is only going to have one head in that room, unless you have a large open space, like a great room and a kitchen that are wide open to each other. You may see 2 or possibly 3 sprinkler heads in that room, but for the most part, a bedroom is only going to have one head in it. Bathrooms that are less than 55 square feet do not have to have a sprinkler in them. And closets, if they're not over 24 square feet, they do not have to have a sprinkler head in them. The attics and the garages are not sprinklered in a single family home because they're going on life safety. They're only putting the heads where the people are going to be living. Any other questions?
Are the smoke detectors the same brand?
Yes, both smoke detectors are the exact same thing. Yes?
If you happen to be walking through the room while the sprinkler's going, is the pressure gonna hurt you or anything?
No. The pressure coming out of them is about, he wanted to know if the water pressure coming out of the sprinkler head would hurt you if you walked through it. The pressure behind the sprinkler water is only about 35 to 40 pounds per square inch, and it's small water droplets, so be a little bit harder than your shower head in your bathroom. Any other questions?
Do you have an update on the demonstration sprinkler system that we're working on?
Oh, yeah, we are working so that we can better identify the actual cost in this area. We have worked out a deal with a local contractor and a local plumber. The contractor is going to allow us to install a sprinkler system in one of his next spec homes. And so then we'll have the plumber that has volunteered their expertise to get trained and install the sprinkler system in the contractor's home. And then we'll be able to break down exactly what it's going to cost in the city of Dubuque to install a sprinkler system in a home. And the contractor has agreed to give us about 2 weeks to allow people to go through the home to kind of see how it's put together. what it looks like after it's completed so that people got an idea of what we're talking about. But I have heads over here too. I can show you the difference between what you normally see in a commercial property as opposed to what you would see in a residential home. Yeah, the ones in the homes, if they're mounted in the ceiling, would be a recessed head, and all you're going to see is a metal plate on the ceiling. You're not going to see the actual head, and I can show you the difference, how they react as opposed to in the commercial, you normally see the sprinkler head sticking out of the ceiling. Any other questions? I'll leave that up to these guys.
One of the things you noticed is that we started the fire, so you were right there when that fire started in the building on the right, and in about 3 minutes you saw how much fire there was there. So obviously if you were actually home, heard the smoke alarm, immediately called 911, they dispatched us and we drove to your house, set up, pulled our lines out, got all our gear in place, got into your house and actually found the room where the fire was and put water on it. It would obviously be a much longer time. It may be only a few minutes, but you can see that 3 minutes is a very long time with that room fire. So the sprinkler system will always be faster. We can't respond that fast. In most cases, you can't call 911 as fast as that sprinkler activated and controlled the fire. So they're very quick. That's what we like about them. You know, the fire department's still going to respond. We're going to go in, we're going to make sure that everything is safe, the fire is completely extinguished, take care of you know, some of the cleanup that we can and help you with any kind of things that you need, but the damage is a lot less, your home's a lot better condition, and the main thing is your family's much more safe.
Yes. He wanted to know if there was any insurance benefits for a sprinkler in your home. I know I invited a bunch of insurance agents to come for the demonstration. Do we have any insurance agents here tonight? I have heard, and I don't have factual information, but I have heard that they're starting to offer 5 to 10% discount if you put a sprinkler system in your home. And obviously that's going to continue to grow as the technology gets here and we start doing installs. Currently, there's no home in Dubuque that I know of that has a sprinkler system in it. Residential, single-family home. If nobody else has any questions, you can walk up. Make sure you don't go into the units, but you can walk in front of them and kind of look at the damage in each one. Brian, did you have a question? Okay, Brian wants to know if it's going to be a requirement. It's currently in the code right now as an adopted standard throughout the United States. Most states and most cities have not adopted it because the technology needs to catch up. We don't want to force people into something and make them spend twice as much money as it actually will cost to do it because the technology is not there. So we're waiting for technology to catch up in the industry, get the cost down to where it's manageable, and but definitely that's why we're doing the education today. If that's something that you feel your home needs or you want in your home, you know, we can work with you to find contractors that are trained and know what they're doing and get them into your homes. Another question?
Say that a small explosion started the fire. Would the sprinkler still go off?
She wants to know if an explosion went off in your home, would the sprinkler head still work? The sprinklers are going to have water pressure at them 24/7. So anytime anything happens in your home, even if it were to damage the sprinkler head, there's still going to be water pressure at the end of that pipe and it's going to spray water out of it. Or if it damaged the water pipe, the water's still going to come out of the end of that pipe. So yes, it will still protect, maybe not as good as it should have or could have if it was still intact, but there is still going to be water flowing. Okay, anybody that comes up with any individual questions, I'll be available. I'm going to walk up to the table, and anybody that wants to look at the sprinkler heads or has any questions about the installs, I'll be over there to answer questions. We'll have the fire department here to answer any questions you have about the units themselves. So thank you all for coming.
This is the intersection where Dubuque will get its first roundabout, where Grandview, Delhi, and Grace all meet.
The roundabout will make this a safer intersection for cars, bicycles, and pedestrians.
Let's talk about the best way for a pedestrian to cross at the roundabout.
First of all, never enter the roundabout on foot or cross to the center island of the roundabout.
Pedestrians should only cross the road at a marked crosswalk.
Secondly, when using a crosswalk at the roundabout, step up to the curb and point across the crosswalk.
Your body language is important and will tell drivers that you intend to cross.
Do not be on your phone or otherwise distracted.
Do not start to cross if a driver cannot safely stop. Make sure the driver sees you.
Look and listen and begin crossing only when there is a safe gap in the traffic flow.
As you cross, keep pointing until you reach the far side of the road.
To review, never cross in the roundabout itself. Always cross in a marked crosswalk.
Step up to the curb and point across the crosswalk to show your intention.
Make sure the driver sees you.
Look and listen for a safe gap in the traffic.
As you cross, keep pointing until you reach the far side of the road.
Pay attention and be safe. Thank you.
This is City Channel Dubuque, the local government access channel. Cable Channel 8 or Digital 85.2, streaming live on cityofdubuque.org.
And thank you all for joining us for this very special Friday afternoon press conference to discuss a very important announcement for the state of Iowa. We're here today with our partners at both the federal and local level to share details of a major flood reduction and water quality grant that we are receiving from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. I'm pleased to be joined today by Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds, our Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, Bill Northey, HUD Regional Administrator Jennifer Tidwell, who came all the way from Kansas City to be here. I told her, good thing she works in Kansas City and not in Washington, D.C., because they're closing down the federal government due to the... We also have Mayor Roy Buell from Dubuque and Sean McMahon, Executive Director of the Iowa Agriculture Water Alliance. Earlier this week, I visited by telephone with U.S. HUD Secretary Julian Castro, and he informed me that Iowa was awarded a grant totaling nearly $97 million to accelerate flood reduction and water quality efforts in 9 key watersheds around the state. Through this new federal funding, the state of Iowa will continue collaborative efforts in both rural and urban areas to reduce flooding and improve water quality. I want to thank HUD for this investment and for a more resilient Iowa future. I appreciate Regional Administrator Tidwell making the extra effort to be here in Des Moines for the announcement. This significant investment in an effective local, state, and federal partnership will help build on our Iowa nutrient reduction strategy and our flood mitigation program. Over the years, we have addressed significant flooding in different parts of the state, going way back to when we lost our waterworks in Des Moines in 1993. I was governor then too. Just one example, I remember traveling to Dubuque in 2011 when a torrential rain caused a fast flood that did significant damage to a number of homes, including that of Senate President Pam Yocum. And I actually visited her when she was in the cleanup phase along with a lot of her neighbors on that occasion. This grant will help mitigate those types of flooding risks and help improve water quality throughout our state. These federal dollars will also complement our recent proposal, our SAVE proposal that I outlined in the Condition of the State address to provide long-term state funding for both school infrastructure and water quality. Now I want to turn it over to the Lieutenant Governor to tell you more.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Governor Branstad. And I too want to say how exciting it is to be here for the announcement and the opportunity to discuss 2 really important issues in Iowa, and that's flood control as well as water quality. The effort, I think the governor kind of hit on it, is, demonstrates how important partnerships are. And this is a reflection, I think, of the continued commitment from local, state, federal, academic, and private sector leaders to really nurture a bright future for Iowa. This new grant provides communities a great opportunity to accelerate flood reduction and improve water quality efforts. From water infrastructure projects in Dubuque, Coralville, and Storm Lake to investments in our rural landscape, this grant will build on the great work that really has already been done and that they've been working on. Some of the highlights of the funding include $8.4 million for Dubuque Healthy Homes Project, $23.1 million for Dubuque infrastructure, $6.5 million for Storm Lake infrastructure, $1.8 million for Coralville infrastructure, and $31.5 million for investments in 9 targeted watersheds. So I want to thank state personnel who've worked for over a year to secure this grant from And those agencies include Economic Development Authority, Homeland Security and Emergency Management, Department of Ag, and Department of Natural Resources. I also want to thank an impressive coalition of stakeholders that were really crucial to the success in this application. And those include local officials like Mayor Buell of Dubuque, who you're going to have the opportunity to hear from in just a moment, and officials from Storm Lake as well as Coralville, academic leaders at Iowa State, University of Northern Iowa, and Iowa, including Larry Weber, who we've been working with and talking to at the Iowa Flood Center. He's with us today, so we appreciate all that you've done to help us in the success of this grant. Agriculture and stewardship leaders like Secretary Northey and Sean McMahon. All Iowans should be proud of Iowa's nearly $97 million grant. It is the fourth largest award in the entire nation and underscores the soundness of our innovative flood reduction and water quality approach. And another key partner that I would like to welcome to the podium, who's been instrumental in helping us really have the type of water quality that we know we want here in Iowa, and that's our great Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary Bill Norton. Bill?
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you all for being here. This is a day to celebrate, a great event with a lot of work to do that comes from this. We're excited to participate in these projects, both in the past and drawing the pieces up, but really look forward to the implementation and being a strong part of that. Incorporating water quality considerations into the flood protection is something that we've all been part of. This addresses very directly, and it's very important to be able to do that and talk about disaster resiliency and being able to handle disasters while improving water quality with structures that help in the long-term water quality effort. It's part of a creative approach that is demonstrated with this grant in finding new ways to improve water quality, find other ways of being able to support that effort. 4 of the 9 priority areas of the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Strategy are within the areas that are the focus of this project. So it ties in very well with those. So part of these funds will be used to support installation of buffers, of wetlands, of bioreactors, terraces, and other good water quality practices. These practices will help housing, they will help infrastructure, agriculture, urban areas that are vulnerable to flooding, as well as could have an impact on water quality for those areas as well. So through the Water Quality Initiative and other watershed-based programs, the Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship is already supporting 15 different watershed projects within the targeted areas here. And those already have $3.3 million of state money with an additional $4 million worth of matching money, local and other matching money in those project areas. This will just leverage that even further. So this again reinforces the commitment of Iowans to embrace a voluntary approach to improving water quality and increasing resiliency during flood events. So we look forward to partnering with all the folks that are a part of this project, the cities, the counties, the soil and water conservation districts, RC&Ds, the watershed management authorities, our organizations that are out there as well, USDA service centers that are out there, federal partners are all going to be important in the implementation of this grant. And certainly most importantly, we look forward to working with the Iowans on the ground that are going to be our partners in investing and allowing us to put these practices on the ground, and certainly going to be the beneficiaries as well of some resources that have helped get done and some more things that need to get done. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to introduce HUD Regional Administrator Jennifer Tidwell to come to the podium as well, help me direct the grant.
Thank you, Secretary Northey. Good afternoon. On behalf of Secretary Castro, it is my pleasure to be here today with Governor Branstad and other distinguished federal, local, and state officials to recognize the state of Iowa as the recipient of the National Disaster Resiliency Competition. The funding will support the Iowa Watershed Approach, a holistic watershed program designed to sustain its valuable agricultural economy and protect the vulnerable residents and communities. The National Disaster Resiliency Competition focused on all levels of government, working together with the private sector and foundations to tackle challenges faced by communities and families who have experienced natural disasters. This competition, with the assistance of the Rockefeller Foundation, has helped communities build stronger and smarter partnerships. It has encouraged communities that have experienced these natural disasters to create their own systems to manage flooding. It is evident that the state of Iowa's partnerships have worked extensively through this competitive process to strengthen their plan to reduce flood risk and improve water quality. Congratulations, and HUD looks forward to working with the state of Iowa on its efforts. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Buell from
Thank you, Assistant Administrator, for that introduction. On behalf of the City of Dubuque, let me begin by saying we are extremely grateful to HUD for its national leadership in the area of resiliency. We're honored to be recipients of this significant grant award and proud to partner with the state of Iowa in protecting our residents and our land from flood disasters through the Iowa Watershed Approach for urban and rural resilience. Dubuque is creating an urban approach to build resiliency into our neighborhoods. Just as the state of Iowa is working with the Iowa Flood Center and partners across the state to work upstream to prevent flood disaster downstream. Dubuque is taking a watershed approach to providing flood protection and through our Bee Branch Creek Watershed Flood Mitigation Project. We are grateful for this funding from HUD and will build upon the significant support this project has already received from the state through the Iowa Flood Mitigation Board. More specifically, these grant funds will enable us to assist watershed residents in recovering from and mitigating the lasting damage and impact of flooding through efforts to mitigate mold, rebuild foundations, replace damaged appliances, and make additional stormwater infrastructure improvements. We will build a more resilient Dubuque and gladly share our urban model with communities in Iowa and across the country, just as the Iowa Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management will with their innovative rural model. Thank you, Governor Branstad, for your continued support of our efforts. I distinctly remember, as you mentioned, your visit to Dubuque that morning in July of 2011, just hours after the historic storm that devastated so much of our community. We hope to never experience that again, but if we do, we will be better prepared. I also want to thank the entire state of Iowa team with whom we have collaborated for the past 2 years as we prepare to submit this award-winning proposal. We look forward to working with you in the future to implement these exciting plans. And now I would like to introduce our final speaker. The Iowa Agriculture Water Alliance is dedicated to helping farmers implement conservation practices to improve water quality and increase the scale and pace of the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Strategy. Please welcome Sean McMahon, Director of the Iowa Agriculture Water Alliance.
Thank you, Mayor Buell. Well, this is truly a great day for Iowa. This grant solidifies that we are one Iowa, one water, and that we have one future together. It reinforces the urban-rural partnerships that the Iowa Agriculture Water Alliance has been helping to foster. Increasingly, multiple cities across Iowa are recognizing that it makes sense to partner with farmers in a collaborative way to improve water quality, including right here in the city of Des Moines with the Wastewater Reclamation Authority, and also the cities of Dubuque, Storm Lake, and Cedar Rapids. This grant will help to more effectively implement the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Strategy and the Water Quality Initiative. It will also help us to demonstrate, expand, and replicate the watershed approach to improving water quality in Iowa. That approach includes watershed planning with broad stakeholder engagement, water quality monitoring at multiple scales, and targeting for maximum effectiveness. Agriculture is a large part of our communities, and we are serious about continuing to take action to improve water quality and reduce flood risk. This grant will help us to keep water on the land longer while maintaining or improving agricultural productivity and farmers' profitability. That will benefit cities. We are very pleased to be a part of this collaborative effort, and we'd like to recognize all the leaders behind me and all of the partners in this grant, but especially we'd like to recognize the Iowa Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management and the Flood Center at the University of Iowa for their leadership, their vision, and their partnership. And I'd further like to recognize their recognition that agriculture and urban communities must work together to craft the most effective solution. This grant will help us all to manage more effectively for seasonal climatic variability. It will result in more resilient farms, more resilient cities, more resilient ecosystems, and a more resilient Iowa. Thank you.
I want to thank each of the presenters, and we'd open it to your questions at this point for any of the presenters. We have this on the sheet. I think there's a handout here. I can go through the figures. The Dubuque Healthy Homes gets $8,427,665. Well, okay, they really go hand in hand. So when we reduce floods, we improve water quality. So they really go hand in hand. And so, you know, some of these projects, as I think all of the presenters, I think, articulately pointed out, we're in this together. And the cities oftentimes are downstream from the farms, and they're affected. This particular one in Dubuque, and I've been there and visited there several times. I was there, as the mayor mentioned, when the flash flood hit back in July of 2011. I was there recently. They've already done some work with the state money that they've received, and this will make it possible for them to do a lot more. And Dubuque has also a infrastructure project as well as Dubuque Homes, but I think there's a handout that's got the exact amount that's going to each of the projects, including $31,959,000 going to the watershed projects. Other questions? It's a public problem. It's a problem we all have. We want to reduce flooding. I go way back with this, the flood of '93, and we lived through that here in Des Moines. Des Moines was the largest city at that time that had lost its waterworks because of flooding. And a lot of work has been done to mitigate that, prevent flooding, and so all you have to do is drive past the waterworks and you see the big berm around that so it won't get flooded out even. And we had flooding on Fleur Drive in December this year. So when we address the issues of flooding and flood prevention, we also dramatically reduce nutrient loss and improve water quality. So they really do go hand in hand. The nice thing about this is it's really a great partnership. The federal government, obviously, we appreciate HUD's resiliency grants, augmenting what the state is already doing. We recognize we need to do a lot more, and we need to have a long-term funding source for that. That's where we came up with the idea of the Water Quality Fund. So we know there's a lot more to do. We're proud of what has already been done, and we want to build on that. And we think this kind of a collaborative process that involves the federal government, Secretary Vilsack obviously has been very supportive of this, and there's USDA funds coming to help as well. The nutrient reduction strategy, which both Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship and the DNR are involved in. The whole nutrient reduction strategy was really developed by Iowa State University. And of course, we have the Flood Center at the University of Iowa that's been very involved in helping direct this. And then our Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management, which deals with the aftermath when we do have these floods. And I get to sit at the end of the table here and get the reports on all the different work that's going on when we do have floods and other disasters.
Sure. Well, this project, the B Branch Flood Mitigation Project, is about a $200 million project in the city. We're actually daylighting a creek that was buried over 100 years ago. That storm sewer had about 1/5 of the capacity of the rain events that we've seen over the past 10 to 12 years in the city of Dubuque. So we're actually daylighting that creek. We're creating the capacity for that 500-year storm. And we're going to do mitigation of a lot of those homes that have failing foundations, mold, appliances that were destroyed repeatedly. We're going to, this money that we're going to be receiving in this grant is going to help us move some components of that project, some sewer expansion, diameter expansions to create the capacity to carry the water from a lot of these streets that the water would drain to before we go into these neighborhoods. And it's going to help pay for half of the piping that we have to put under the railroad tracks to get the water out of the B Branch project waterway. I think those are the three major components of where this money is going to go. Those projects would have had to wait up to 20 years maybe before we could find the funding to actually implement them. So this is going to be a big help in getting this project to the place where it will handle those 500-year storms in a much shorter period of time.
Here's a B Branch construction update. You're watching City Channel Dubuque, the local government access channel, cable channel 8 or digital 85.2, streaming live on cityofdubuque.org.
you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be out here today to celebrate the completion of the EB Lions Interpretive Area Edition. I'm Roy Buell, Mayor of Dubuque, and I'm very pleased to welcome you on behalf of my City Council colleagues, Carla Bragg, Joyce Connors, Rick Jones, Kevin Lynch, David Resnick, and Lynn Sutton. The City of Dubuque was proud to partner with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, the Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation, the Friends of the Mines of Spain, the EB Lions Trust, and the Iowa Department of Transportation on this $1.97 million project, not including the in-kind time that was invested by many individuals. The foundation for this collaborative effort is the unique partnership through which the Iowa DNR manages this EB Lions Interpretive Area property and the Interpretive Center, with support from the Friends of the Mines of Spain and the EB Lions Trust. The property upon which the center is located and the expansion project property is actually owned by the City of Dubuque. We frequently talk about partnerships, planning, and people as the keys to our success here in the Dubuque area. This project was fortunate to be strong in all three of those areas. Park Ranger Wayne Buchholz is always advocating for the protection of land around the Mines of Spain recreation area and the EB Lions Interpretive Center, and that advocacy was the nexus for this project. A meeting was first organized in April of 2011 with City of Dubuque staff and representatives from the Iowa DNR, Friends of the Mines of Spain, and the Natural Heritage Foundation to discuss the potential purchase of the land upon which we stand today, which was formerly the 52-acre Bottoms Farm. This common goal was the protection and expansion of the EB Lions Interpretive Center. Next, the Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation purchased the 52 acres at auction and enacted a purchase agreement with the city. The city then applied for grants to assist with the acquisition costs and formally acquired the property in 2013. The Iowa DNR led a planning effort for this addition, actively engaging the Friends of the Mines of Spain and many other community members and organizations, which resulted in the master plan for the EB Lions Interpretive Area Edition. Following collaborative efforts led by the City of Dubuque Planning Services Manager, Laura Carsons, grants were received from the Iowa DNR's Resource Enhancement and Protection Program, as well as the Land and Water Conservation Fund, plus the Iowa Department of Transportation State Recreational Trails Grant Program. The Iowa DNR received an IDOT Living Roadway Trust Fund grant. The Friends of the Mines of Spain and the Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation were also involved in private fundraising for the project. Additionally, the remainder of the Edwin B. Lyons Testamentary Trust was dispersed to the city to help fund the project. We thank the trust for their support, which allowed us to complete all the development in one phase. Since the groundbreaking in June of 2014, city staff from our engineering, leisure services, and planning services departments have coordinated the project with the Iowa DNR, Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation, and the Friends of the Mines of Spain. I also want to acknowledge the hard work and expertise of the various contractors and consultants who worked on this project. They're all listed on your program, and I'm sure that some of them are here today. Let's give them a round of applause. You will shortly hear more from representatives of those partners about their role in and thoughts on this project. Before I welcome Lisa Hine from the Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation to the podium, I want to introduce some of our elected officials who are in attendance today. Now, I did not see anyone other than our council members. Anyone here? Okay. Well, thank you for that continued advocacy of our elected officials for the Dubuque area issues, and for your support of the agencies and programs that were so critical in making this project possible. Speaking of state programs, we're extremely proud that the EB Lions Interpretive Area Project is the first completed Parks to People project in the state. And that deserves a round of applause. Parks to People was launched in September 2014 by the Iowa Parks Foundation, the Green Ribbon State Parks Commission, and Governor Branstad's office. The goal of the initiative is to create a long-term sustainable strategy to revitalize Iowa state parks by connecting parks to people. We were proud to learn that the first area designated for the program was the Grant Wood Mississippi River region, which includes Dubuque, Jackson, and Jones counties, home to 4 state parks, including the Mines of Spain. Parks to People is about great places and great experiences, connectivity, cultural vitality, healthy people and healthy places, and lasting legacies. The Grant Wood Mississippi River region's 20-year-plus master plan includes 4 projects, one of which is the Mississippi Circuit, a seamless circuit from Dubuque to Bellevue that involves city, county, and state parks and trails, linking the Mississippi River Trail and the Great River Road, the Mines of Spain Recreation Area, and the E.B. Lyons Interpretive Area, and this new addition are significant components of this plan and represent the first completed project of the Parks to People initiative. This project is connecting a project happening right now, which adds a paved shoulder along Highway 52, which will serve as a recreational trail to St. Donatus and a completed trail project to Bellevue. As I said earlier, this project was possible because of the planning, partnerships, and people. Next, you'll hear from some of the people responsible for that planning and those partnerships as they reflect on their agencies or organizations' role in this project. And I'd now like to invite Lisa Hine to the podium.
Hi, everybody. It's an honor to be here. It's really great to see everybody's faces and just a gorgeous day being here today. The Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation is a private nonprofit land conservation organization. We were founded in 1979, and it's really exciting for me because our first very big project was acquiring the Mines of Spain State Recreation Area. It's 1,300 acres. We were a new organization founded by business and community leaders from across Iowa, and we really wanted to show how the private sector could have a strong role in conservation across Iowa. So it's really quite an honor for me. I wasn't there at the time at the foundation in '79, but I've been there 27 years and have seen a lot of neat projects all across Iowa over that time. Since then, we've done 1,100 projects in across Iowa, totaling a little over 145,000 acres, and we've been in 96 counties. So it's been a lot of neat work all up and down the Mississippi River, Catfish Creek, Whitewater Canyon. We've worked with private landowners doing conservation, and a lot of our projects have become public areas because it's very important to have land protected for public enjoyment and public use. And as I was walking today, just enjoying the monarchs and the black swallowtails and the little brown birds, whatever they are, I was thinking how the work that we're all doing is for those creatures and the land that really doesn't have a voice in conservation. We're there for them. And I just want to say a little bit about our role. Our role really was early on when this land became available for sale. We heard it was going up for auction. Got together with the project partners and said, can we do this? And we're like, yeah, sure. We'll figure it out somehow. So we needed to act quickly, and the foundation, we were able to step in and get the land at auction and just hold it until the grants could be written and awarded, and the construction projects could be, and documents could be put together, and the additional fundraising could occur. And so finally we got to this day. I owe a lot of appreciation to our members and donors who over the years really have supported our mission. It's because of them that the foundation could be there when the land went up for auction. I want to thank the private public funding sources, the REAP program, the State Rec Trails program. Those programs, if we didn't have those, a lot of the work that's getting done across Iowa wouldn't be able to happen. And a special thanks goes to those legislators that support those programs. The private donations, which are huge, the Friends Group, the EB Lions Trust. Thank you to all those folks that really leave a legacy and think about future generations. And certainly our public partners, Dubuque, DNR. Without you guys, I guess we wouldn't have been at the auction to buy the land. But you guys really have carried the ball. Our role was kind of to provide a platform so everybody could continue to coordinate and work together. But really our strength was being there early on so that the project could be a project. I'm really grateful for all the work that everyone's done today. I just think of how this land and this area will be here for many, many generations. You know, I think what's it going to be like 100 years from now, 500 years from now? I know that that land will always be protected. This land will always be protected. And hopefully, in that process, it will inspire others to support conservation and permanent land protection for generations to come. Thank you. And now, Todd Kaufelt, Iowa DNR. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Todd Kaufelt with the State Parks Bureau for the Department of Natural Resources. A lot of appreciation I would like to also extend to the many groups and the many people. And to get that started, I'm just going to try to put into perspective what it took to get to this point. Now, who was here for the initial meetings that took place for the planning component when there used to be a structure behind us before the property was graded? Who was part of that, those conversations that took place? Anybody? A couple hands are up. The reality of that is the role that the Department of Natural Resources plays. And our mission statement is leading Iowans in caring for our natural resources. The Mines of Spain is a state park that operates on city-owned land. When the mayor spoke of partnerships, there's no greater partnership than the trust that's instilled into each person and expected when it comes to managing a resource like this for the use by the people. 250,000 people come to the Mines of Spain State Park annually. A lot of them, even today, have been here not once, not twice, but many years ago, and will plan on coming again, whether with their kids or with their kids' kids. That's part of what the DNR wants to conserve and wants to maintain as we move forward. 15 million people visit all the state parks in Iowa. It's an estimate, it's a formula, but the reality of it is these resources are cared for not by private groups alone, not by the cities that are neighbors to them, but by the citizens, by the Friends Group. Speaking of which, planning and why it was so important, the people who spoke up reinforced and maintained that they wanted to keep it natural looking. Well, congratulations for a job well done. We have a reintroduced prairie that we're trying to maintain that will be a great part of it. Make sure you take a walk on the sidewalk to get to the top of the hill. The view is excellent. 250,000 people visit, but in reality, in 2013, we had the National Association of State Park Directors from all 50 states come, and the trees that are planted along that trail are one from each state. Most of them made it. Some of those lower tropical states don't fare so well in Iowa winters. Let's just be honest about that. The reality of that is this has a national recognition. The Mines of Spain has a national recognition just beyond this regular everyday user, in that the people who take care of parks in Canada, in the 50 states, asked me last year, how's our tree doing? And I wasn't here 2 years ago when we dedicated it. I just started a year and a half ago, and I said, I will check. Well, now I can go back and I can let Florida know that some people are better survivors than others. But the importance with that is the fact that people were here as part of the dedication, that have a memory that is lasting, that they will go ahead and duplicate in their own states. This park was part of that. They made that memory here, and that's the role that state parks plays. The partnership, whether it's between the city and state, between a private entity, or between the people, the city, the private entity, and the state, there's no one key mixture that makes it work, but it is the partnership in and of itself that has to be maintained for success to be achieved. Coordinating and moving the maintenance facility to make way for the parking lot, as I mentioned, with 250,000 people, that is necessary. What I'd really like to reinforce is there's a Friends group for the Mines of Spain. Do we have members of the Friends group here? There's 120 of you that play a role in some shape or form. Thank you for your time, but they were key in promoting the reinvestment in this park, and they didn't promote it just for themselves. 120, 250,000. They know that there's a value, whether it's through a children's school group, whether it's through a cousin or a neighbor or a long-lost relative visiting, that's where that plays into that. As it was mentioned for Parks 2020 for the Iowa Parks Foundation, they're focusing on connectivity. As you walked into this park, it's a state park on city land. If I ask a question, how many people knew that before today? Most of you may raise your hand, but for the people visiting that we saw earlier going to the Julian Dubuque Monument, I don't know if it made any importance to them. In the state of Iowa, state parks are free to the visitor, and the connectivity between city, county, and state parks is invaluable because it doesn't necessarily matter if it's a city, county, or state park. What matters is whether it's being taken care of and whether or not people can enjoy what it has to offer through the resource or through the memory that they can make. Parks 2020 wants to focus on that and provide a public-private partnership, there's a tongue twister, a public-private partnership so that the next 100 years of state parks can continue and so that cities and counties and states can maintain that partnership because that is the key to the future. Congratulations on that effort to the committee and to the folks that are helping make that happen. Thank you very much. And I think that's all that I have to say. I'd like to introduce Dr. Charles Winterwood to come and join us. He's the president of the Mines of Spain Friends Group.
Like everybody, welcome everybody on behalf of the Friends of Mines of Spain to the Mines of Spain first American Disability Act accessible trail and our state forest walk, our shelter that we're staying right now, and restrooms, the new all-weather workshop provided by the Iowa DNR, much needed parking, and how this new addition is going to provide a buffer for the interpretive center so we won't have development coming right up to the interpretive center. The Friends of Mines of Spain would like to thank all the people and groups that made this possible, including the City of Dubuque, Iowa DNR, Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation, the E.B. Lyons Testamentary Trust, Resource Enhancement and Protection Program, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, Iowa State Recreational Trails Program, the Butler Family Foundation, Norman Denninger, the Iowa Living Trust Roadway Fund, Jane and Richard Worm, Winifred Adams in memory of Georgia Forrest, Richard Ament, Michael and Hetty Hustade, Paul and Lori Kerpes, Mary Cohn and Greg Paulson, Christopher and Christine Stive, and Jim and Marisa Tyson, as well as all the volunteers who planted the trees fall before last, and all the people that volunteered and helped make this a possibility. Give a round of applause for them, please. Thank you very much. Now we have our park ranger, Wayne Buckles.
I just want to say thank you to everybody that came today. It was fantastic turnout, and everything that you see here today, and with the addition to the E.B. Lyons Center that we did back in just 5 years ago, it doesn't get done without you. The donations, the volunteering, and everything, that's coming from more than 120 members that we've got. We usually have about 6,000 hours of volunteer that we have every year out here at the park for a lot of different things. So it's again, thank you for everything that you do and for all those that weren't able to make it today. A couple of examples that we've had this year and just people helping out. A lot of you read about the graffiti we had out here in the spring. Put the call out, we had 15, 20 people show up to scrub it off the rocks. Just a few weeks ago, we rebuilt the wildlife blind that arson fire burned down back in 2012. 2 days we had that project up off the ground and done with the people that came out here. So, the help is there. What I want to really, I guess, also explain just a little bit of what we all put in out here. I know some of the others had mentioned them. When we started this, I think we had about 3 months that this was going to go to auction. So we didn't have a whole lot of time to get the city involved, our Natural Heritage, the Friends Group, which just came off of raising money for the Nature Center. They kind of all sat back in their chairs and, oh, how much we need? And the auction went in September, and we luckily were able to purchase it. And then it was like, well, now what are we going to do with it? I was just happy to have it. So there wasn't a row of houses out here and around. And Angela Corio is back there with the DNR, helps us with our planning and so forth and designing structures. And she helped develop a master plan, got the groups together and had discussion, had public input. And then it was like, well, we're not going to let this lay on the shelf and get dust on it. And here we came, from 2012 to today, and it's done. So thank you to everybody. There's additional parking lots, which we desperately needed. A brand new shop. If you saw the shop we were working out before this one, is about a third of the size. So I'm definitely loving that. But the shelter house, the latrines, Charlie mentioned the new trail here. It's about 7/8 of a mile round trip. It's ADA. So the only other trails we've got in town is the Riverwalk and Bergfield Pond. So, tell people that need a trail like this, it's out here. This is all planted in the native prairie. So as you walk out there, this front part was planted in 2012. So it's already showing a lot of color. On back was planted last fall. So give it a couple years and it'll start blooming out there. But the shelter house, the latrine, this is the new look that we're using in state parks, more of the rustic look. So not too many of these have been built across the state, but you're going to start seeing more of them in variations of this. And same way with the latrine and, fantastic buildings. So I want to invite you afterwards, if anybody wants to, walk out to the point out there, out to the end. There's a big compass out there, so you know what direction you're looking at. But it's a neat view of being able to look over part of the mines of Spain, the city of Dubuque. You can see Sinsinua. Where can't you see Sinsinua around here? But it's one of those high points. It's all over the place. But I invite you to come out for a walk out there. I do need to be down at Catfish Creek at 7 o'clock because I got Boy Scouts to do a merit badge with. So, but otherwise, I'll take whoever wants out for a walk. I will turn it over to Nelson Clevitter now from the Ambassadors.
Thank you, Wayne. On behalf of the Dubuque Area Chamber of Commerce and the Chamber Ambassadors, the Redcoats, the social arm of the Chamber, we congratulate all of you that took and put so much work and effort into this project. As Molly Grover would say, you continue to make Dubuque a place to be proud of, a good place to live, work, and play. Again, congratulations on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you all for your remarks this evening. I also want to thank everyone who traveled to Dubuque from other parts of the region and the state today for this event. We appreciate it and hope that you enjoy your time here. The Iowa DNR staff will be at the Overlook to share details about the park and its landscapes. We hope you'll take a short hike and join them at the Overlook. We're going to conclude with a typical ribbon cutting and photo op, but this is also a participatory event. Wayne and his staff have prepared some cups with wildflower and prairie grass seeds. We ask that you take a walk along the trail, and as you do, scatter some seeds on patches of bare dirt. Then stomp on the seed with your foot to firmly plant it. This simple act will contribute to the beauty of this area in years to come. Of course, we encourage you to come back often and see how the area develops. We invite all the project partners, donors, contractors to join us for the photo at this time. And again, thank you all for coming today, and please feel free to spend some time exploring the project. Thank you.
Ready? 1, 2, success!
You're watching City Channel Dubuque, home of city council meetings and other informative programming related to local government. We're found on Mediacom Cable at Channel 8 if you have a converter box, or Channel 85.2 if you connect the cable directly to your television. This channel also streams on the city's website. But do you know about our other channel? City Channel Graphics is devoted to announcements about the city, meeting notices, road closures, downtown weather data, and other local government information. These same graphics are seen in between programs on the main City Channel, but you can always find them on our other channel. Just select Channel 80 if you have a converter box, or Channel 85.3 if you connect the cable directly to your television. You'll know you're watching City Channel Graphics if you hear the computerized voice of the NOAA weather radio station serving Dubuque.
And now, your National Weather Service forecast for Dubuque and surrounding areas.
So if you turn on your TV to find the temperature in downtown Dubuque and see a meeting or other program on the air, just flip to Channel 80 or 85.3 and you'll find exactly what you're looking for. City Channel Graphics, the other channel from the City of Dubuque.
You're watching City Channel Dubuque, the local government access channel. Cable Channel 8 or Digital 85.2, streaming live on cityofdubuque.org.